and think highly of him. But I have known Dan's wife's family going back to high school days. And so that tells you how long I've known him. I won't tell you how old I am, but Dan's wife and their family were very close personal friends of me going through high school and then through college. We hung out together and that kind of thing. And when Dan started working in the prosecutor's office as a law student, I think, as a summer legal intern, he immediately, I was able to recognize him as a very smart and upcoming law student who turned into one of our best prosecutors, and I was there for 24 years as the chief prosecutor, among the very top of the folks in our office. And Dan quickly became an assistant prosecutor, and then developed an interest in what I ended up calling, as soon as we had a TV show by this name, of the Special Victims Unit. So I had a Special Victims Unit to handle some very, very tough cases involving child victims and domestic violence cases, whether it involved a homicide or a felonious assault. And Dan joined that unit and did such a good job that probably, I don't know, probably you're only maybe 30, 31 maybe. I selected him to be the head of that unit. It had about 6 or 7 lawyers, and it's the busiest trial unit in our office. We give awards during the time I was there, a little picture of a dog, and we called it the Trial Dog Award. And it was always somebody in the Special Victims Unit that got that award, because they try so many cases, they're so highly contested, and Judge Schneider here will tell you that they're the toughest cases, whether you're the prosecutor, defense attorney, or the judge, that you have to hear, because you become so personally involved and invested, and kind of at some points in time, you know, you shake your head and say, I think I've seen it all. Well, the next week, you saw it even worse. And Dan did such a great job, and I'll tell a quick story, Dan, on you. There was a fellow that committed a rape and a homicide of a young girl, and we tried the rape case first because we hadn't found her body. And we didn't want to try and side case without a body, even though you can, and I have done it. It's a very difficult thing. But during the time that Dan was in trial in that case, I think it was on the homicide side of things, we eventually found her skull in a creek out in the east side, about a year after he was in prison on the rape. Dan tried that, and while the jury was out and deliberating, his wife had their first child. And so he was so dedicated, he was down there at the courthouse while they were getting perilously close, and you can maybe fill in the blanks, but I always said, here he was, his first child was being born, and she's now in college.
Yep, Lena. Yep.
Yeah, and so Dan was a dedicated person in our office, and when he talked to me about becoming a judge, I supported him 110%. He was our environmental court judge, again, very important position, and then moved over to Court of Common Pleas. And we're all lucky, not just here in Franklin County, but now through the entire state of Ohio, that we have Dan on the Ohio Supreme Court. And he had to run for a 2-year term, and got turned around and running it now for a 6-year term. But he is up to that, and traveled the state then, and is continuing travel the state, and he's going to win again with all your help and my help and Dan Hawkins.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Ron, and thank you so much to Showalters for opening up your beautiful home to us. It's you know, we have a lot of these fundraising events, and Ron and Charles will tell you we're usually dealing with you know, attorneys and lawyers. It's so nice to meet new people and fresh faces, and really appreciate you getting involved and supporting me. I really do appreciate it. It's so nice to meet you all, and thank you for coming out here and supporting us. It's I love that my job, and I want to keep doing it. I think I'm doing a great job so far. Ron gave you basically a breakdown of my professional background, but just from a personal background, for those of you who don't know me very well or haven't got a chance to tell you yet, I'm born and raised in North Columbus. I don't come from any kind of money or political dynasty. I come from your typical blue collar, working class family. My dad served in the Army in Vietnam, came home, got a job with the old Ohio Bell. When he was a victim of downsizing a number of years later, he got his CDL and drove a school bus for Westerville Public Schools up until his passing of cancer last year. Mom was a teacher's aide, and I grew up north side of Columbus with my brothers and sister and I. DeSales High School graduates. We worked our way through high school and college, and then myself through law school. And to be honest with you, I was always interested in public service. I thought about a career in law enforcement, police officer, FBI, something along those lines. But when I was in law school and I started working in the county prosecutor's office, I fell in love with the courtroom. And I was able to learn a lot from Mr. O'Brien and all the wonderful prosecutors there. And my career took off from there, but it was a big part of it was a lot of the mentorship I had from Ron and the prosecutors in that office. And then I became a judge, and I had great mentors like Judge Charles Schneider here, who I eventually was able to win his old seat and take over his docket.
Me off the bench.
But to finish Ron's story, my wife Amy and I have been married. It'll actually be 20 years next year.
Wow.
I'm really blessed to have her. She couldn't come tonight because, as Ron said, we have 3 kids. The oldest, Lena, who was born during that murder trial, is now a freshman at Ohio State, which is amazing to think of. I'll never forget my wife Amy. It was a big murder trial. It was a big high publicity trial at the time. TV cameras there, and we rested the case on a Friday. We had to come back on Monday. My wife went into labor Friday night. We went to Riverside Hospital, and 48 hours of labor. God bless her. I got through it okay. I can say that because she's not here, otherwise she'd pick the crap up. She gave birth Sunday, beautiful daughter, Lena, and I remember working in the hospital on my PowerPoint for court the next day, and I had the little wristband on, and when I was in front of the jury, I tried to cover it up because I didn't want them to think I was in a mental hospital. But it was an amazing experience, and it just really not only showed me the importance of my job, the importance of family. I also have another daughter, Emily, who's a freshman at DeSales, and a son, Luke, who's an 8th grader. And they're the reasons I do what I do. People ask, how can you prosecute those very difficult cases? And they were difficult, but I've always said, somebody has to do them. Those cases don't handle themselves. And we all have our own crosses to bear, and that was mine. But now, as a judge and now in the Supreme Court, I always think about my family and everyone else's families. I love Ohio. I love this state. It's not just a campaign slogan. I think we live in the best state in the nation.
Amen.
I want my kids to be able to grow up in Ohio like I grew up, and that is one that is safe, one that is prosperous, one that they can get a good education and get a good job and raise a family in safe streets. And so my goal in the Supreme Court is to make sure we have an environment in Ohio that promotes that promotes a good common business sense so businesses can continue to thrive, but we also want to make sure that our streets are safe and that everybody's families can remain safe, but also make sure that everybody's rights are protected under law and under our Constitution. So, as Ron said, I've got an election next year. I don't know who my opponent is yet. The Ohio Democratic Party is recruiting some lawyers or judges to run against me. They're having a hard time so far because they know so far I've developed a good reputation, and I'm going to keep it that way. So, yes. But events like this is what helps because everybody knows about the governor's race, the Senate race, the presidential race. A lot of folks lose track of these judicial races. So the funds we're able to raise, not just the funds, but the word of mouth, social media. Follow me on Facebook, Twitter. I'm told I have an Instagram page. I don't know what the hell it is, but Justice Hawkins, Right Kennedy. I don't know what my Instagram is. Funny story about that. My daughter Lena, the Ohio State freshman, she was always bugging me through the last campaign.